Following adjournment, House Republican leadership told reporters they were pleased with what lawmakers had accomplished this session, how they handled Little's veto last week on portions of the property tax relief bill, and the House coming close to overriding the veto of the library bill.
I know there's some people who are ecstatic that the veto override failed. I know that there's some people who are incredibly frustrated. It comes down to, what your personal belief is on how you're going to take that vote. But I think that that's what's important. And I think we saw that specifically with the property tax bill, was that the legislature, kind of asserted its independence and said, wait, this is what we think is right for Idaho. This is what our constituents want. So this is what we're going to do.
Votes like that are tough when you have, 3/4 of the caucus want to override and miss it by one. But overall this session, you saw the legislature try to take back some of the power that I think that we've lost through the years to the executive branch.
We invested significantly in the public education and increased teacher salaries, classified staff. We increased the pay for classified staff.
I think that the sideboards put on the Idaho lunch program will make it even more successful than it was in the initial bill. And so I think that that's an important workforce training program that we put forward. Additionally, we put money into high school CTE to try to make sure that all these Idaho kids are as successful as possible. So the combination of the two programs, I think, are really going to do well for Idaho.
Democratic leadership also applauded this session's historic investments in education. However, the minority party was disappointed with kitchen table issues being overshadowed, in their eyes, by social and moral debates.
Even in the face of a dismal record in this legislative session, I still remain hopeful about the things that we did accomplish, that Democrats led the way on, and I want us to focus on those efforts to create Idaho where our kids really want to stay in state. I've heard our governor say it over and over. We want kids to be able to stay here and want to live here. But what I saw this last session was not something that was inviting for kids and families, and in fact, we're hearing them wanting to leave.
They had to call, write, testify almost daily to fend off wave after wave of assaults on their basic rights. And another really sinister trend that we saw take off this session was this trend toward placing private bounties on people, which is, again, dangerously starting to create this almost North Korea-style informant state of turning neighbor against neighbor and incentivizing these potentially frivolous and abusive lawsuits.
That vetoed library bill wasn't the first time lawmakers have brought up concerns over minors being able to access potentially obscene materials in libraries.